a bit anticlimactic. How was that?
You time the music to end.
I did. I downloaded one and just like,
Wow.
made it. So, hello everybody. Welcome to the show.
Hi,
So
guys.
excited to have everyone here. We already have Cheryl who's saying hi. Cheryl's Venus is in Scorpio. We also have Jasmine as well. So Jasmine's actually watching from YouTube. So we're live both on
Right.
Facebook and YouTube. And today we have Jeremy. So friends
Hey.
of Jeremy, please say hi in the comments. Show your support. Yeah, we got a thumbs up. Yeah. So I think a lot of people don't know us both. Like I think we have people from coming from both camps. So I'm YQ. I run Tarot Singapore online, and I used to do like this weekly live show where I just bring around spiritual practitioners to talk about what they do. And today we have very excitedly we have Jeremy right over here.
Yes.
And yes. So
Yeah,
Jeremy
hi,
and
guys.
I yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yes. Ming. Yeah. So awesome. Yeah. So. Okay. So Jeremy, so we met. So we are both like from the same astrological school, and then Jeremy, I think he's super cool. He's doing, when I was looking at your Instagram profile, like, and you said that you're trauma informed astrology. I was like, wow, that is very, because for me, I'm very a bit like brash, a bit rude, and then for me it's
Brash
like
and rude. Okay.
yes, and I always feel like guilty for not being like a like being kind enough to people, but before we talk about too much about myself, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Sure.
And then
Yeah. So first of all, like Inchi, thank you so much for having me here. So yeah, my name is Jeremy. I think some of you guys are already following my Instagram. If you guys have not, it's sacred_Saturn on our Instagram, right? And yeah, so as Inchi mentioned, I'm a trauma informed astrologer. So what that means is that the way that I look at the natal chart itself, it gives me insights into how your nervous system is actually wired, and it actually tells me, like what were some of your childhood experiences that you grew up in, that led to you, experiencing, some of your emotional needs that were unmet, and emotional traumas that you experienced that led you to who you are today.
Yes. So exactly. So that is a very curious way of using astrology, because sometimes when we think about astrology, people think fortune telling lah, or like very like a character based. It's like INFP but in astrology style. And the way when you explain like the nervous system, it does like wow. Then I sit back and think about it. So wow, yeah. Is it? So could you like explain like how do you work with a client, like
Sure.
roughly lah,
Okay.
not too deep for now.
Okay, no problem.
Later,
So
later
basically,
we can talk deep.
Okay, no problem. So basically, what I do is that I cast the birth chart. Okay, so what I like to do is that I ask the client to come prepared with a question in hand. So this question could be framed, such as what is one thing, for example, they need a clarity over a situation, a particular situation in their life, and what I'll do is that I'll use this question that I will ground the reading based on. So the chart itself, right, tells me how they will probably react or navigate their situation, or what is being triggered at that point of time, right? Or what is the event trying to trigger within them. And oftentimes the way we respond, right, it's a pattern response. So it's a conditioned response based on how we've always been responding to the our patterns in the past, right? So that is when I'll use this as an opportunity to scope even deeper into what was the main root issue, right? That is driving their trauma response, which is a response to the event that they're currently facing.
Okay. Yeah, and today we are talking about something quite special. We're talking about the sign Venus. So before we start, I would just like to highlight everyone who's here. So Cheryl, who has Venus in Scorpio retrograde, and then also Ming, who has Venus in Taurus, and then we also have Grace with Venus in Gemini. Yeah, and then everyone else, let us know your Venus sign. And if you don't know your Venus sign, go to the browser, search how to find my Venus sign, and then definitely you'll get like a link helping
tutorial,
you with that. Yes, tutorial with that. So, and also if you have any questions along the way, everyone, just type in the comments. I think the comments pop up not so soon, so it might take us a while before we see yours, but definitely we'll try to answer your questions unless you give us your birth timeline and ask us to read your birth chart. No.
Not in this session.
Not in this session. Yes, in other sessions.
Oh, hi, Darren. I see Darren.
Yeah, Darren of Venus and Sag. Awesome. Yeah. So today we're talking about exploring how trauma in relationship based on your Venus sign. And then I guess the first question we do want to cover, Jeremy has written a very nice point system for everything that we're covering today. So number one is basically, what is Venus as a planet, and why is Venus such an important indicator of relationship?
I love that question. Okay, so
It's
first of
from
all,
yourself.
yeah. I mean, like literally, it's thinking about what does Venus actually stand for in our natal chart. And okay, anyway, if you guys like notice, I'm looking at my right eye. I actually have another laptop there. I'm just like glancing over my notes just to make sure that I'm on track. Okay. Yep. Yeah. So Venus actually represents how we give and receive love in our relationships, and it actually represents also our personal values, our sense of self worth, or what we find pleasure in. Okay. And oftentimes, like understanding our Venus helps us to understand, what are we able to bring to the table in a relationship itself, how we actually wish to be valued by our partners. And okay, so the danger here, right, is that sometimes we project our Venus needs, right, onto our partners, and without integrating our Venus in our charts, in ourselves. And what that means is that we often hope for someone else, right, to fulfill that part of ourselves that we have yet to integrate. And that is where it could cause. Oftentimes, I see in my clients, right, in my readings with my clients, this is where conflicts might occur in a relationship itself. Okay, because we do not feel whole, and in that lack, we often seek someone else to fulfill that within us. Okay, to get a sense of our self worth or what we value. Yeah. So yeah. So I think a good another side question here. Something I just wrote down also. Like Venus in the male chart versus a female chart. I think this is a question that probably you have met before.
Everyone, yes.
Yeah. So Venus in male charts, right, usually just means that it's the kind of women. Assuming that you're heterosexual, right?
Okay.
It's the kind of women that you tend to be sexually attracted by, the feminine qualities of women that you tend to be drawn to, right? And for women, right, your Venus in your chart actually represents the feminine qualities that you value or you admire in other females themselves. Yeah.
Other females. But I do find myself attracted by like guys with the Gemini side lah. But I guess it goes both ways lah.
Yeah.
Okay.
As in your Venus is in Gemini, right?
Oh, my Venus is Gemini, and then I like witty people. Yeah, so maybe I like myself lah. Or maybe I don't.
Yeah, it's like what we value, right? We are drawn to people who embody what we value because it helps us to reflect those values back to us. Literally, that's what it means.
Yes. Okay. Yes, and then we have Jasmine who has Venus and Scorpio in the 6th house. We have like first glance, I think we have like 2 Venus and Scorpios already. So I think we will get into the very meaty part. Hello. I don't know. I don't know what
no
that
idea
is.
Who that is.
Because it's also on YouTube. So basically, I think
right.
YouTube
Okay, I see
it everywhere as well.
Yeah, so it's Facebook and YouTube. Okay.
Facebook and YouTube. So so we're going to get into the very meaty part of things. So basically, So we actually so sidetrack a bit. Piyush, we are actually not doing any birth chart readings now. So if you're curious about that, you would want to stay on to understand like how how to get into a better relationship. So what might be your problems that you have. So I guess we can just get started. So should we run through the zodiac or should we
actually I was thinking maybe I just actually this is more of the third question. I know I gave you a bullet point list, so I actually put the third question onto the second.
Okay.
Yeah, the way I organize my notes. Okay. So yeah, I just want to talk about sorry, give me a moment.
Okay, I also flash it on the screen.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So maybe you show the question. Yeah. So what we tend to look for in our relationship and why we tend to fall into the same patterns or dynamics over and over again. So so the caveat here is that, like oftentimes we are drawn to what feels familiar and safe. So what this means is that, our early notions of what a romantic, what love is, right, is modeled after our relationship with our parents. Okay, how we experience love in our early experience with our parents, or how we see our parents showcase or embody love with each other. And what this means is that we go into as we are growing up, we start to think that like love should be in this way. What this means is that, let's say you grow up in a dysfunctional family, right? And love is very characterized by chaos, right? And you might go into relationships as you're growing up in abusive relationships because that was how love was experienced before. It was familiar, and therefore it felt as though it was something that's normal. It's conditioned for you.
And I guess even so, for example, if someone did grow up in a very dysfunctional family, is that even if they're in a good, peaceful relationship, then they kind of panic. Why is the like adrenaline, why is it not there? So then they might be like, bye, or they mean like, you don't love me.
Literally. And oftentimes, okay, I'll go with this later, but just like a fun thing, like oftentimes we see this a lot in Venus Aquarius. Why? When things get stable and boring, right? Venus Aquarius people, like things get stable and boring, like you will look for drama, you look for things to shake up, right? Because you're so used to your family environment or your parents being that showing you love that's very inconsistent, that's very disruptive in that sense as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't have any Venus in Aquarius. The funny thing is that when I run Venus workshops, Venus in Aquarius don't come because they don't care.
Right, they don't care. Yeah. It's so
yeah.
interesting. That's such an interesting observation, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
we
oftentimes
have
it's more the Venus water signs that will come in because,
water
like, I
sign.
think.
No. The funny thing is Venus and Pisces don't come because
Oh,
they
right.
think that I'm in a perfect relationship already, or like in their
Okay.
heads. I feel like that.
Okay.
That's like my theory. So we have Kimberly here who is Venus in Aries. So hello. Yeah. So okay, and then I guess I was gonna tell everyone share your traumatic experience in relationships. No, like share
No,
what
don't have to.
you don't have to like. But
Yeah.
later on, when Jeremy is talking about like your particular sign, if you resonate with it, let me know as well. We have so many Venus in Aries. Yay! Fire signs. Okay, shall we go through the signs one by one?
Yeah, sure. Let's do that.
All right.
Okay.
So we're gonna start with Venus in Aries. So we have Venus in Aries in the house. Like raise your hands and
Just to give a shout out. Yeah, I see Kimberly, I see Amanda. You guys, Venus in Aries. I have Venus in Aries as well. So it's something I'm personally very, very familiar with. Right. So I'm speaking for you guys.
Come. Tell us.
Okay, the way I'll list this down, right? First of all, I'll label the shadow. Okay, so the shadow is often parts of ourselves that we have denied and repressed, right? That we have not owned up to. So Venus in Aries people, right? The shadow here is that self-entitlement. You oftentimes you feel like you feel like you are entitled to getting your needs met at all costs, right? And the shadow also is that you are very competitive in nature because you feel as though you're not moving fast enough, and oftentimes you use your relationships as a trigger to compete with, so that you feel as though you're moving fast. Okay, so the danger here is that you start to be in a comparison with your partners, as though like the difficulty here is that you're not able to feel happy for your partners sometimes, right? Because you see them as competition to you. Right. And what you need to integrate here is that fact that, like, hey, like I have certain goals, I have certain ambitions that I want to work on, I want to progress on. And what I need to do is to work on them myself first before instead of expecting my partners to push me all the time.
Okay. So I think there's a stereotype with Venus and Aries people is that they fall in love fast and then they just bye as well.
They get in and out fast. And I think, I can speak for my case. So oftentimes, I think looking back my past relationships, right, what I realized is that my relationships has always got on very fast. It's either like 1 week, 2 weeks, within a month itself, I'll get into a relationship. And what I realized is that, so caveat here is that I have a Pluto in the 7th house, so a little bit of astro talk. So I tend to get involved in relationships very fast because I fear as though if I don't entrench my partners fast enough, they will leave me. Right. So it's needing to feel as though like I'm involved with somebody fast enough, to feel as though like it's the part of like wanting to entrench somebody fast enough. So that was my past relationships. And I think some of you guys, Venus and Aries people, if you guys can like let us know if it's something that you resonate with as well. Okay. And just to add on also, right? So what I realized in a lot of Venus Aries their background story, like because I was talking a lot about how the Venus is developed because of our past childhood experiences. So just like some background story here for Venus Aries people, oftentimes, right, so there are many ways this could play out. So what the common trend is that you're often spoiled, right? Parents are the ones who were the ones who are feeding you a lot of attention. You always get what you wanted, and there's a sense of self-entitlement that has been conditioned. So in relationships, you always expect partners to give in to you.
Okay.
Or the other way you could go about is that maybe you were the middle child or you were the younger child, and you always had to fight to prove that you're worthy for your parents' affection and validation. So you always have to prove yourself. Okay, and in that, like you always see as though relationships are a competition to win approval, to win love and affection from your partners.
Because Aries is about winning as well.
Yes.
So Kimberly says, I hope not a frowny face. Kimberly, let us know, your own experience in relationships, or if you're very shy, you can DM Jeremy as well. Yes. So that was Venus in Aries, and then should we move on to Venus in Taurus?
Yeah, if like no one else has questions or feedback on that, we can actually move on.
Okay. Venus in Taurus, the sensual.
Venus and Taurus. Okay, I saw some Venus and Taurus in the comments earlier.
Okay.
Right? So Venus and Taurus, I mean, the basic characteristics here is that it's a very sensual sign, very materialistic, needs stability, structure. So the shadow here is that you need a lot of control. You're very resistant to change, and oftentimes the shadow here is that you see partners as part of your possession. Part of your possession. That's the danger. And oftentimes it's also because, right, Venus and Taurus people, they have not learned how to develop their own sense of self-confidence, their own sense of self-worth. And oftentimes they need their partners, right, to validate their own self-worth. Yep.
Okay. So I'm curious, right? Do Venus and Taurus people like care really about like whether their partners have money or like on their end is that so how does because I have a friend like that, but then I don't
Sure,
know say my friend bad things. Yeah.
Sure.
So when it comes
I
to
think-
Venus Taurus,
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think it depends on what does the Venus Taurus actually value. So it could be money,
Okay.
it could be structure and stability, and sometimes structure and stability could be associated with financial stability. So in that case, yeah, oftentimes I do see that playing out as well. Needing partners to be of a certain, be able to indulge them physically, materially, right? So there's an element of indulgence of the physical pleasures.
Okay. So we got Venus and Taurus, then Venus and Gemini. It is me. Tell me, roast me.
Roast you. Okay, sure. Okay, so Venus, Gemini. Okay, so the basic characteristics here are like they need a lot of mental stimulation. They need to be able to communicate well with their partners, right? It's like basically throwing out fun facts of the day. Like they are very, very intrinsically curious about the world, right? Venus and Gemini. Grace, yeah, that's you. I just had a chat with Grace earlier in the day. Yeah, Venus and Gemini. So they need a lot of mental stimulation. Oftentimes, if they do not get the stimulation, they get restless. Okay, so the shadow here is that there's an addiction to stimulation, and they need to feel like they know enough, or they feel that they are interesting enough, right? And this is often projected onto their partners, needing their partners to feed into their mental stimulation. Okay, so the problem occurs when the Venus Gemini person, right, is not able to own or integrate these parts of themselves that needing stimulation, right? They are able to, like a lot of Venus Gemini, they'll be able to go and figure things out on their own. But when they're not able to fulfill that, right, and they project that need onto their partners, that's when the tension begins. Because they start to feel like, hey, my partner is boring. Literally, I help Venus Gemini people say my partners are boring, like not providing enough stimulation. Yeah. So the possible background here is that growing up, there's a huge emphasis of possibly the importance of learning and intellectual discourse. Sometimes I see that parents could be somebody who gossip and slander other people a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's need for like how to say, like that gossipy, the gossipy kind of like stimulation around. I do see Venus Gemini people usually are associated with art, musicians, artists, photography sometimes even. They need to enjoy, they need to figure out and meddle with the technical know-hows of things, right? They need to find ways to communicate themselves and express themselves.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So since we're on the topic of Venus, I just want to take a pause as well, because sometimes our birth chart is not so our Venus can live on our birth chart, but then of course there's also interaction with other planets. Yeah. And sometimes you might feel like, you know what, I don't really see myself as this. It could be that you have other planets that are either like repressing or either like making it like very exaggerated. So it really depends on the whole birth chart whether it makes sense or not. Personally, for me, I have Saturn like opposite my Venus, so I'm also just then there's a lot of like so Saturn basically is like a bit like a lot of heaviness. There's a lot of sense of not worthy, not good enough, we're not worthy as well. Yeah. So yay. So everyone else in the comments, because we do have a lot of people in watching this now, if you can just share your Venus sign so that we can highlight you, and then if you're shy, you can don't say your Venus sign as well. Just say hi so we know you're here, even though we can see you. And then the next one would be Venus and Cancer.
Right, Venus Cancer. So Venus Cancer, general application, general characteristics here. Venus Cancer needs to feel safe. They need to feel as though they are being nurtured, right, in their relationships. Often food associated with food, right? Comfort, food. The shadow here for Cancers, there is oftentimes an attachment to the past. There's an element of hoarding, needing to hoard. Again, like very similar to Taurus, there's a need to possess their partner sometimes, right, as a way to feel as though they are valuable, as a way to feel as though they are being mothered or nurtured, or they are mothering and nurturing somebody. Okay. Yeah. So oftentimes Cancer get triggered by their fears of abandonment. Like if their partners were to leave them, like they feel as though that's when they usually get triggered.
Okay. Yeah. So we had Cheryl here who was talking about my Venus is trine with Saturn. So let us know how it works there for you. So trines are nice lah, I guess.
Trines are nice, yeah. Hey, but surprisingly, right? I mean, talking about trines, sometimes I find that trines are problems. But because trines are so easily integrated in the chart, right? That the individual doesn't even realize it's a problem.
Okay. Ooh.
Yeah. So it's just a side observation that I've been noticing as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then all right. And I think we can segue into very nicely. Natalie who just popped in, Venus
Natalie,
and
Venus and
Leo.
Leo.
And she put a
Okay.
heart. It's very like, yeah, Leo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so Venus and Leo, you guys are the romantics. You guys are here to have fun, right? And you love to be seen and appreciated for who you are. And you know, like the shadow here is that because oftentimes what I realized is Venus and Leo, they were eclipsed, or they felt as though they were not given space to actually voice out or to be seen and
Ooh.
appreciated for what they had to share. And oftentimes there's an overcompensation in their relationships, and they expect, you know, like partners to allow them to take center stage or the spotlight all the time.
Oh.
To be glorified even sometimes.
Mhm.
Venus and Leo, very creative placements. I would advise you guys to, you know, go in there and just create art. Just express yourself. Usually I have friends with Venus and Leo who are MCs, right? They
Mm.
are there taking the public stage, just showcasing their talents and expressiveness, right? The danger here is when you expect there's a certain expectation for partners to
Applause.
feed, applaud
Mm.
you all the time, and stroke your egos, right? So yeah, that's the danger when there's a certain expectation there.
Mm. All right, all right. Yay. So, Natalie, let us know. Let us know as well. Then the next one we're going on is Venus in Virgo. So we
Yep.
didn't have any because they're very hardworking and they're
Hardworking,
preparing
probably
for
working
Monday.
for tomorrow and planning for the day, the weeks ahead,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah. Okay. So Venus in Virgo. So Virgo is often, what I'm realizing is that
Mm.
Virgo is often associated with anxiety, often feeling as though they are not worthy enough.
Okay.
Yeah. And the way that they feel worthy enough is to be of service to other people.
Mm.
Okay. And Venus in Virgo people, they love to serve people. They love to feel as though they are valuable by, you know, like acts of service, literally acts of
Oh, yeah.
service, or buying things for people to make people feel as though they are considered, right? And they want to be seen and appreciated for what they have to offer.
Mm.
Okay. And oftentimes what I'm realizing is that some Venus in Virgo, they tend to fall into they tend to lapse into abusive relationships
Oh
because
no.
it is
Mm.
when they are able to accommodate to their partner's needs that they feel valued. Right.
Okay.
So the shadow here is not realizing your own self-worth and needing a partner,
Mm.
right, to feed into their needs, right, all the time, such that you start to feel like a sense of self-worthiness.
So it's like I want to fix you, and then
Yes, I want to
yeah.
fix you. Yep. Yep. They are drawn to partners that they require
Wow.
fixing
Oh
sometimes.
no.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think the possible background for Venus
Mm.
and Virgo was that, you know, growing up they might have suffered from parents who are extremely critical,
Okay.
who are very, very practical, right?
Mm.
And it led them to internalize that belief that, you know, like sometimes they're just not worthy enough, they're not good enough, they're not they have to do more. Basically, they have to do more to showcase their worth.
Oh, all right.
Yep.
So yeah, so Venus in Virgos, take care, don't go fixing people. Then the next one we have
Fix
Venus
yourself first before
fix
you fix
yourself
other
first.
people.
Yes, fix yourself first. Then the next one we'll have is Venus in Libra. I think we
Mhm.
had some. Let me just find them. Yes, we have over here Kobush, and then
Yep.
yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Venus,
All right.
Venus in Libra. Yeah. So Venus in Libra. So the shadow here for Venus in Libra is that there's a fear of being socially rejected. There's a need,
Oh.
there's a desire to be socially adored, accepted, and loved, right? And
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes, when you're not integrating your Venus in Libra, you tend to be attracted to partners who might feed into your superficial need for adoration, right? And you tend to people please a lot just to feel accepted, just to feel as though you're loved by people. I do see Venus Libra people often playing the role of the trophy partner, trophy wife. Like they
Wow.
look
Okay.
good on the outside, they look good on the outside as the perfect couple, but, you know, like on the inside, they are masking a lot of unmet needs and unexpressed resentment with their partners.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So
Yes.
where might this come from?
Yeah. So the possible background here is that, you know, like a parent has a huge emphasis on needing to appear a certain way to be socially acceptable, socially not glorified. Like they need to present themselves properly in a certain way in public. So there's an attachment to the image that they keep up.
Right.
So there's a need for them to feel as though they are accepted. If they don't fulfill this role of the image, they don't feel love, or they could be they feel rejected.
All right. Take care. It's like, after everyone, I'm like, take care, guys. But, all right. It's okay.
Yeah,
We all can learn from this, definitely. All right. So the next, okay, yes. So we have a question from Cheryl. Since Venus is a ruling planet for Libra, is there a special kind of influence for those who have this placement?
Yeah. Okay. Wait. Venus is a ruling planet. So it depends on where Venus is. Which house Venus is situated in. So that's where you can get more clues and insights into how Venus is playing. But in relation to that, right, what I will say is that the house that Venus is ruling will give you insights into where you felt a need to gain validation from, gain your approval from. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it depends on the house. I'm also thinking, so if a Venus is in Libra, then for the planet itself, it's easy to express because Libra is like love.
Yep.
So
in domicile, leadership.
And then we have Dawn right over here. Hi Dawn, thanks for watching. You can go back later. We had Venus in Gemini. Now we take a pause because we're just like halfway through. A question sometimes people ask is that, and it's a dangerous question. So basically, it's like, once I know my crush's Venus sign, can I do anything about it? Yeah. So let us. And the funny thing is, like, Venus is Scorpio showing up. I'm like, sorry guys, you guys.
Oh no.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think?
What do I think? I tried it, like.
Okay. So what was done? Like, maybe you can share what was the Venus sign and what was done. Yeah.
Yeah. So then if I say Venus sign, then they know already, lah. So basically, for me, it was more like trying to, like, when I'm complimenting them, I compliment them based on their Venus sign, so that my hopes. Okay, same as Jeremy is like I also have Pluto in the 7th house. So my way is like I also want to like control. So Pluto is a sign like control, obsession, and then the negative way that it comes out is like then I'm able to control, manipulate you. So for me, it was coming from that direction where like now I know your Venus sign, I can praise you for being like your Venus sign, but not very nice lah.
That's so interesting. Because my partner is actually here and she has Venus in Taurus and I'm a Sun Taurus, right? What this means is that naturally there's some kind of like affinity because the way I express myself is like it's like there's an element of structure, grounding, stability, right? And it feeds into her need for that stability as well.
Okay. Yes, which is a good question. Alongside that, Garen says, I think you're trying to mimic that quality of what he likes based on his Venus. I cannot, like, I cannot absolutely.
Cannot do that. Very Gemini, people very mutable. I can go though.
Oh, okay. I can pretend. Two-faced. But speaking of that, it's so we kind of like sidetracked with, but it's interesting things to talk about. Basically, it's like synastry. So you mentioned that your sun sign is in Taurus, your girlfriend sign is in Venus is in Taurus as well. But I think sometimes people do come to us astrologers like very like, oh, you know what type of people is like, am I suitable for? Then does it mean that, you know what, my Venus in Gemini, should I be looking out for someone with the sun sign Gemini, which is the dangerous part, like, because So what do you think?
So to answer the question, right, I think of it as archetype. So you might not necessarily be attracted to people with Geminis per se, but you might be attracted to people who are actually embody that Gemini, the things that Geminis enjoy. Like, for example, intellectual curiosity, mental stimulation. So if you're somebody who has a lot of varied interests, naturally, right, somebody with Venus in Gemini will take an interest in you. They'll be curious about, what are you meddling with, what are your hobbies, what are your interests, and they'll be interested to find out, how you think sometimes.
Yeah. So guys, when we tell you that, you know what, your Venus is in this sign, doesn't mean you go look out for that sign of person. Like basically someone with that kind of characteristics. So yay! So awesome. So Darylyn, thank you for sharing. Then the next one we have is Venus in Scorpio.
Venus in Scorpio. So Venus Scorpio. Okay, so Venus and Scorpio, it's a little bit dark, right? So sometimes they want their relationships to be all-consuming, okay? And oftentimes Venus and Scorpio is operating from a place of fear. So it's a fear that people will betray them because they've experienced betrayal in the past, or a fear that, people will leave them and hurt them. So oftentimes, I actually, very interesting, I just had a client this afternoon who had a very strong Venus Scorpio archetype, right?
Okay.
So what was discussed was that growing up for her mom was somebody who was there's a lot of tension, and mom was somebody who switched love on and off like a switch. So it's so if you guys are familiar with attachment patterns, attachment theory, so John Bowlby, there's stable, there is anxious, avoidant, there is avoidant attachment, and there's disorganized, right? So I often associate Venus Scorpio people with the disorganized attachment pattern. So it's like they want intimacy, but at the same time, they're so fearful of it that they try to manage other people's emotions. Other people, they try to manage other people as a threat because they see them as possible threats, right? So it's where they need to have control over.
Mm.
Yeah, and the danger here is that they feed into, or they are attracted to partners, right, who might feed into their need to control.
Oh. So could you give an example? I'm
Yeah.
like very curious. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So it could fit into like partners who really depend on them. So it's like codependent
Oh.
relationships, for example.
Okay,
So
okay. Yes.
partners who really depend on them for their emotional nurturing, emotional
Mm.
support. Cheryl, I see. Oh my God, caught out. So feeding into that need for them to feel needed, right? So it's when they are able to display that, oh, like now I have control over your emotions. Now I have control over how you feel. I can withdraw and I can give emotions as and when I like, right? To feel as though you are entrenched into me, because that's where they feel safe. That's how they feel safe.
Okay. Sidetrack a bit. I always find like people with like strong Venus Scorpio archetype like very sexy. Like it's like naturally very sexy. They're like very jealous and like why are you like that? So sexy.
Yeah, there's almost an element of, because so Scorpio represents sex, and with sex there's an element of like magnetism, right? So Venus Scorpio, yes, there's an element of magnetism, and that magnetism, right, oftentimes can be expressed through their sense of mystery, because they don't reveal so much, and when they don't reveal so much, it's power and control, because the person who reveals more, they are more vulnerable. Whereas somebody who reveals lesser, right, now they are able to like look at what people are revealing, and they have control over like what can they choose to reveal of themselves. Yeah, so that's Venus and Scorpio.
Oh, very powerful, very powerful. So yay, so Cheryl, thank you so much. Drop people before I drop you. Wow, I think that's a classic.
Drop people before they drop you. Venus Scorpio, literally. Yeah, they rather be the ones to amputate others rather than being amputated. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Cheryl, for sharing and for being so vulnerable. Are you a Venus and Scorpio? Like, very vulnerable for you. Thank you. And the next one we have would be Darylyn's sign, Venus and Sagittarius.
Yeah, Venus and Sagittarius. Okay, so the shadow for Venus and Sagittarius is the fear of being restricted or not having enough. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Oftentimes, what I find in Venus Sagittarius is that they have this huge sense of adventure, that sense of expansiveness that they want to indulge in. They want to learn and grow with their partners, right? Okay, anyway, my laptop just crashed.
Oh my God. Can.
So Venus and Sagittarius, so they need that learning and growth, right, in their partners, in their relationships. And oftentimes when they don't integrate that within themselves, if they're not learning on their own, they expect their partners to indulge their need to learn and grow a lot. So that becomes an expectation. And again, like very similar to Gemini, right? Sometimes they complain, they grow bored of their partners because suddenly like, hey, you know what, I'm not growing in this anymore. Right. So it's that in the sense of restlessness that they feel, that they need their partners to constantly keep up with them.
Yeah, when in reality, if they want to learn, they can go learn on their own line. But then
exactly. Yeah. So that's how they integrate. How should be integrating their Venus Jupiter, Venus Sagittarius.
Then where did this come from for them?
Right. Yeah. So usually growing up, oftentimes, okay, so I do see that parents could be somebody who were very indulgent themselves. So a parent could be traveling a lot, extensively.
Okay.
Like they didn't want to feel. So one parent could be traveling extensively, and the other partner could be staying home. And this partner who travel extensively, right, they might feel a strong need to be, like their relationship needed that freedom, and therefore, like growing up as a kid, you started to see that, all relationships needs to have freedom for them. They don't want to be restricted by their partners. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because Sagittarius also represents belief systems or perspectives. Sometimes I do see that Venus and Sagittarians they grew up in a background who are very religious. Parents were very religious or had very fixed belief systems. That the Venus and Sagittarius people made it a point to say that, hey, I no longer want to be confined by this belief. I want to expand. I want to go beyond. Yeah.
Alright. Cool. Then the next we have is it's very very like it's like because the Sagittarius is a more fun. Just now we had some like very sad ones, but then Sagittarius were like, yeah, I want to expand. But now we have Venus and Capricorn. Capricorn.
Yeah, so Capricorn is a sign of respect, social status. So Venus and Capricorn people, they want to feel as though they're deserving of respect, recognition for their efforts, for their achievements. So underlying this, right, is a constant fear of rejection. Okay, so what I realized is that Venus Capricorn people, they are often very aloof. They are very good at social situations, right? But in a one-to-one, more intimate way of relating to people or their partners, right? They are very aloof and they are very stiff. Yeah.
Okay.
And oftentimes it's because they fear as though if they have to express any emotions, right, they might be rejected by their partners. So they rather reject themselves first, then let somebody else reject them.
Yes. I think it touches on my Venus opposite.
Okay, yeah. So I think it's something that you might be familiar
Yes.
with, lah.
Yes. Okay.
Reject myself first so that people cannot reject me.
Yeah, but so then how about this for so I don't know. I can share this story. So basically,
Sure.
there's a story about like a man who has Venus in Capricorn. For them, it's like they cannot find a girlfriend until they reach a certain status, because Capricorn is like status
it,
and then like
yeah.
up there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally needing to feel like I'm good enough, worthy of love, right?
Yeah.
Before
yes.
people will love me. And so this a good lead up to that background story for Venus Capricorn
yes.
people. So growing up, parents were probably traditional. They're not very
Oh.
expressive, right? And you experience like mom and dad who were very like okay, like they validate you only if you achieve certain good results.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is how you grew up feeling as though you had to perform. You had to be of a certain standard before you were lovable, before you were able to gain affection and love. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And so side note also, one thing I realized about Venus Saturn is that if they are in a marriage, right,
Uh-huh.
and the relationship has no love and affection, right, they would still try their best to uphold the structure of the marriage.
Responsibility. Is
Yeah,
it?
the responsibility of being in a marriage, the structure itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just something I realized as well. And oftentimes, even though like the relationship is really, really bad, they will still be husband and wife in name, even though there's no love and affection anymore.
Very familiar.
So these are the ones who have so what they contribute is longevity, but assuming that the relationship there's love there's good
Yeah.
but if there's devoid of any love and affection, then it's
just
just
housemates
there.
law.
Housemates, yeah, literally just housemates.
All right. So then next we have someone who's very different. We have Venus in Aquarius.
Right. Venus Aquarius. Okay, so Venus Aquarius is the rebel. Okay, so this is very interesting. I love to me it's very fascinating to see Venus and Aquarius people when they speak about their experiences in the past, because they can say things from a very detached point of view. And they will say things like they will even boast about how many so because Aquarius is a sign that doesn't want to be restricted. So it's about open relationships, for example, or they often they rather prefer the label of they rather relationships to be labeled as a friendship rather than a relationship. Yeah. So they're afraid of the emotional responsibility and commitment that comes to the relationship on its own. So that's why you often see Venus in Aquarius people, they tend to have a lot of friends, right? Open relationships even, rather than a one-on-one level, rather than interacting on a one-on-one level. Okay. And the shadow here is that because they don't want to feel restricted or they don't want to deal with any emotional commitments, and or they could have grown up in a family environment that has a lot of chaos. That love was very dysfunctional, love was very disruptive, right? Love was given, like it could be abusive also, like parental relationships could be abusive sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a question here. So
Sure.
if we pause a bit about like Venus and stuff, if we're talking about Venus and Aquarius, I think are we also talking from a framework where we think that monogamy is like the one thing to do? Because if like Venus and Aquarius, if they like thrive in polyamorous relationships, but then I'm just like throwing things out. It's also
good. That's a good question.
Yeah. If they go into this relationship, are they really like looking for the excitement, or are they just like afraid of abandonment? So how does it work?
Okay, so I think this really depends on the rest of the chart. And the first question I always ask my client when they come to me for a reading is that, what are you actually choosing? What do you really want in your life? Because sometimes, right, it's a defense, it's a trauma response, right, to fearing of the emotional commitment, even though they want to enjoy that love and commitment, loss or the love and affection with a partner. So then I'll ask them, what is it that you really want? Is it like polyamory? Then I can help them to resolve that guilt that they face in needing to conform to a structure, a traditional way of how relationships should be. Whereas if there are somebody who say like, hey, okay, I know that I am meant for I actually want a committed relationship, then what I can do is to help to resolve the root cause trauma that led them to utilize that need for open relationships as a way to respond to their fear of emotional burdens.
Oh, thank you so much. Very, very. Now I learned so much. Awesome. And then we're gonna say hi to Ray Shan, who has Venus in Sagittarius. We talked about it just now. You can watch it in the replay. So, and then the next one we're gonna talk about, it's the last one. Venus and Pisces. Oh, these people.
Yeah, you want to share? Yeah, I know. Like, you want to come in, weigh in. Like, what do you feel like Venus and Pisces feels like?
So I think that Venus and Pisces, they are like the ultimate romantic. So I mentioned just now when I talked about like no one with a Venus and Pisces comes to my relationship workshops, because it's either they think they're in a perfect relationship, or then or I don't know what's in their heads. Yeah, but then yes, please let me know what's happening with them.
See, no, it's very good. So Venus and Pisces
Yeah.
people, they tend to idealize that
Oh.
fantastical romance or that ideal romance, right? So it's literally like Korean drama. The analogy is the Korean drama kind of
yes.
romance, right? And the shadow for Pisces is that they are not able to see themselves. So it's that they are selfless. They're so selfless, right? And oftentimes there's what I find in Venus Pisces surprisingly is that they don't love themselves at all. Sorry, they don't love themselves at all. That's why they feel that in order for them to experience a certain element of love, right, they have to show it onto other people, and it's unconditional.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, Cheryl, looking for their Prince Charming.
Yeah, and Cheryl also said that she sees the Venus and Pisces as all or nothing kind of people.
All or nothing. Yeah, I think all or nothing people is more of very Scorpio kind of archetype or energy or attitude they take towards romance. For Venus Pisces people, right, they tend to be attracted to partners who might fit into their needs for fantasy or secrecy. So these are people, right, who tend to be drawn to emotionally unavailable partners. It's because like they are so used to pining. I wish that somebody could love me. I wish that I could be together with that person. That they are not able to deal with reality. And if they're involved with somebody in a actual relationship, that's when they start to look elsewhere, and they sometimes it could lead to secret relationships. Sometimes it could lead to cheating. Sometimes it could lead to cheating because they are hoping for something else other than what they currently have.
Yeah, and then also for Venus and Pisces is that sometimes living in your imagined like, oh, I like this guy, and then in your head everything is perfect. It's safer to stay there and just like don't
in your headspace,
if I tell them I like them, what if they don't like me back? Then safer. So Natalie has a good question, especially for you since you do a lot of these work. Is that how can we work on these individual shadow aspects when it comes to like, our Venus?
Good point, Natalie. So the idea here is to understand what your Venus is, right, and try to find ways to integrate it on your own instead of expecting your partners to fulfill that side of you. Okay, so depending on what your Venus sign is, I think I covered mostly all of the Venus signs earlier. The goal here is to fulfill, own your own Venus, so that there's an element of self-worth, because Venus is what determines our sense of self-worth. And the moment we try to expect our partners to fulfill that sense of self-worth for us, right, that's the danger. Yeah, that's where we actually cause people to feel trauma, to experience trauma on their side. When we don't own our shadows, literally, when we don't own our shadows, right, and we project it outwards onto other people, that's how like the trauma is created, or we are causing our partners to be defensive against us. I hope that answers the question, Natalie.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing, Natalie. Yeah, so if anyone has more questions, let us know as well. We'll gladly answer them. And then also, yes, I think this one, the last part that we're going to talk about is tips on building.
Conscious relationships. So this is actually feeding into Natalie. I forgot I had this segment. Yeah. So actually, I provided some tips on how to build conscious relationships. So okay, the first thing you need to understand is that in a relationship, right, it's not just you. There's two people involved. So as much as you can try to work things out on your own, right, if your partner is not choosing to work things out on his side, of course it's going to be difficult. But what you need to do is responsible for your own healing, your own growth, right? So what I'm going to share is from both perspectives. So the aim here, right, is to be a stable and safe attachment style. So being a safe space for you yourself, and being able to safe space to be able to contain a safe container to hold space for your partner's trauma as well, or shadows as well. Okay, and what this means is that you need to be able to have open communications, have difficult conversations with your partners, and let them know what are you dealing with, what are you most afraid of, what are your shadows, so that they can understand and see how are you reacting from your place of pain or place of fear. And when that open conversation is available, right, now you have access to being able to see them for who they really are, instead of seeing them as reacting against you, or seeing them as like being somebody who's attacking you all the time, because everybody's just reacting from their own trauma.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for sharing. So everyone else, if you have any question, let us know. So Jeremy, how can people work with you? Of course, you guys can keep asking questions. I'm just like feeling that.
Sure. Yeah. If you guys got any questions, I'll just take this time, Q&A. I'll just answer any questions that comes along the way. So Inching, your question is how can you get to work with me? So if you guys are not following me on Instagram, it's sacred_Saturn. So what I do is that I currently have a 6 weeks coaching program. It's called From Trauma to Purpose. So literally, it's a deep dive into some of the patterns of behavior that you guys are looking to change, you guys feel stuck in, and I'll deep dive into the root cause trauma that has led you to who you are, trying to help you to understand your trauma response behaviors and finding release from them. And not only so, that's the first part of the program. The second part is trying to help you to find your purpose, right? And I believe that, if there's one thing that astrology has taught me is that like life operates in cycles, right? The things that are unhealed will keep replaying over and over again. Likewise, once we discover our purpose, we can find ways to start replaying our purpose over and express our purpose over and over again. Okay, and the only way the best way for me, what I realized is that to get out of trauma, right, is to live in your purpose, literally, because no longer you're living from a place of fear, but you're living in a place of empowerment, and you're able to share your purpose with the people around you and solving problems, social problems in your life.
Yeah, so I think everyone's very shy. Like, please ask questions. And then also, you do have a Telegram group as well, right? So I just shared the link. Yeah, I just shared the links in the comments.
Yeah, so that's t.me/Secret Saturn. So this is where I will share some of my insights. Sometimes I get like random insights, ideas. I'll just post it onto my Telegram chat. Sometimes I will reflect on my client experiences. Because often at times I feel that clients are dealing with things that are common with other people, and when I share those insights, other people could relate to them as well. So yeah, just follow that Telegram group if you guys want.
Okay. So we have a question from Ming Ming. Venus is about values and the way we love. So how does like someone's parents inform potential relationship trauma for themselves?
Right. Okay, that's very, very interesting. So we talk about love languages, right? I think because I was thinking about this, right? Like being able, how do we reciprocate love to our parents? So there's something I actually asked myself like quite recently as well, and I realized that trying to understand what their love language is, right, helps us to understand how are they showing love to us. And oftentimes, so going to your question, inform potential relationship trauma for yourself. Understanding how your parents' Venus sign actually is, right, will give you clues as to what are the potential traumas that they were dealing with, and how were they projecting it onto you. Okay, and so this is where synastry actually takes place. You can put in your parents' chart and your own personal chart and see how the relationship dynamics actually takes place as well. Oftentimes, what I've seen, or in my clients, or in my practice, what I've seen, the common patterns are that our attachment patterns, right, are developed as a response to our parents' patterns. Sometimes we model after them, or oftentimes we challenge their patterns because we want to avoid being like them.
Okay. Yeah, and so maybe as well, if like I think working on your own your own chart would be like useful as well. So sometimes, like, so for example, if you're talking about parents, you might want to look at the sun and the moon, how it interacts as well. Yeah, so the birth chart is really, really big, and then a lot of things you can cover with that. But thank you so much for asking. And so this is Jeremy's Telegram channel. Yeah, so that's interesting to know. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so any other questions you guys have, let us know as well. So so I think
this will be up on replay, right?
Yes, it will be up on replay. So if you're watching this, if for example just now we had someone with Venus in Sagittarius, you missed out, you can always pause and come back. So welcome, Ming. Yeah, so anyone else has any question, let us know. And this is Jeremy's Instagram handle. It's also in the comments. Go click on it. And so any last thing you want to share?
Well, I don't know. Any last thing? I was really trying for Q&A.
I think on Facebook it's maybe that people feel shy about it, but definitely you can is it okay if people DM you? What's up?
Yeah, sure. Like you guys have any questions, just feel free to DM me over Instagram, right? IG, that's at Secret Saturn, with the underscore in between. Just DM me. I'll be lovely to connect with you guys as well.
Yeah, and yes, I think let me just double check. I think double check. Yes, I think that's it.
Right.
So what are you up to? Like so you talked about your coaching 6 week,
right?
Is it 6 week
program? Yep, 6 week program.
All right. And also you do client readings as well.
Yes, so I do natal chart readings. So right now I do offer a 1 hour session with me. If you guys want to keen to look at one, so basically I have 2 service offerings right now, right? So the first one is the 1 hour reading session. It's a natal chart reading where I'll look into your trauma patterns. But what I realize often is that in my past experience, just having 1 hour session is just pure information. I don't see a huge transformational change. People don't learn how to integrate their shadows and their traumas, right? So that was why I came out with the 6 weeks program instead. So if you guys are interested, like just hit me up, drop me a DM. I'm happy to share with you more.
Okay, and then Don has a curious question: should our partner's Mars sign complement with our Venus sign?
Yeah. So, what do you think?
What do I think? Oh, I think it's okay, like if it doesn't compliment, but as a woman, let me think.
Yeah, it's an interesting question.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
trying to, because I'm trying to like conceptualize in my own mind.
Okay.
I don't think like the actual signs. So, for example, Jeremy said just now is like the actual signs don't matter, but the archetype. So it's like,
Yep.
do you see your partner as someone who like embodies the Mars sign? So for ladies, Mars is like the boyfriend planet. But if you want to look for a husband, you gotta look at the sun, which I find
Sun,
quite boring. Like, mine's Taurus.
yeah. So I think my take is like very similar to what Inching said. Look at the archetype, but more than anything else, I think it's easier for you. It's a lot easier if you find somebody who has complementary Mars Venus sign. So by complementary, it could be a trine, right? For example, if your Venus sign is a Cancer and you have a Mars sign that's a Pisces, then it's probably going to form a trine. So that's where like how your partner actually expresses himself is very compatible to how you desire to feel love and receive love.
Yeah, and for men, no, it's like Mars sign. Is it their sex drive? No, right? No.
I mean, it could be their sex drive, like what they actually fight for, right? Even in a relationship. So there can be many ways they can actually express their Mars as well.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So
Thank you
Mars
for-
Venus complementary usually is a lot of sexual chemistry going on.
Oh yeah, but then longevity would be Sun and Moon. Yeah.
Yeah. Sun and Moon. Or the
I
seven
remember-
house. Yeah. Aspects. To
Oh,
the
seven house. Awesome. Yay. So okay. Does our Mars and Venus combination impact how we show and how we love?
Love. Yeah. I think more of the Venus. So love is more on Venus. Mars is more about what we fight for, what we stand for. Yeah. Well, what do you think?
What do I think? Yellow. I'm trying to. How we show love. I don't show love with my Mars sign. My Mars sign. Yeah. So as Jeremy said, I think Venus itself is like how we show love, but Mars would be like, for a woman, would be what you find attractive in a man. So for example, mine is Capricorn. Then I might find someone who's like climbs the mountain. Doesn't have to be a ladder, like, so actually putting in the work. I find that attractive, but I don't show my love by like hardworking neither lah. So and then I think so I think so Natalie, what is a good way to start working on shadow aspects?
Okay, so I think one good way is journaling and being able to identify, what are certain patterns in your life, right? And the moment you're able to identify, that's when you're able to change it. But based on my experiences, what I realized is that people are only able to change if they feel safe enough to change. Okay, this is why oftentimes we know what we need to do, but we just don't do it because we just don't feel safe, right? Yeah. And in order for your nervous system to feel safe, to wire new synaptic connections, right? What you need to do is to find so there's a belief I have. You have to first co-regulate. You need to find a mentor, a guide, somebody who has gone through the process, who is able to show you the process and how is it being done to guide you through. So you have to co-regulate it first before you're able to self-regulate. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question, Natalie.
Yeah, and I guess as Jeremy says, I think sometimes you yourself, you might know the problem, but then you are resistant to change. So if you do have like an external party who, like, I don't know, probably not slap. If you're trauma informed, probably not slap, but generally suggest.
Not slap, don't slap.
No slap. So Cheryl is saying that, haha, mine is Leo in Mars. Yeah. So Cheryl, let us know what you find attractive in a man if it's a Leo in Mars, Mars in Leo. So awesome. So I'm gonna just flash Jeremy's Instagram account, Instagram link again, and so get in touch with him right over there. And I think okay, so Cheryl has Dawn. I feel my Mars in Cancer makes me super emotional, for better or for worse. Wow, Mars in Cancer.
I think it's for better or worse. It's actually how you decide to express it, right? If you are Mars in Cancer, people tend to have an attachment or they feel attached to the role of needing to nurture and protect their partners, right? And I think the danger here is when you overextend yourself to the point where you are so emotionally drained. Of course, that's going to be that could lead to codependent relationships, and that's for worse, of course. But if for better, right, that's where you're able to set proper boundaries for yourself, and you understand how much emotions are you able to hold space for yourself as well as for other people. So I think that's where you're able to properly exercise your Mars in Cancer.
Okay. So Natalie said,
Natalie, I get your questions. Drop me the DM. I will love to further this conversation with you.
Yes. Okay, awesome. Yay. So thank you so much everyone for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Yeah. Awesome. So I think that's it for today. So everyone have a great night. If you have any questions, of course, drop Jeremy his, DM in Instagram,
Yep.
instagram.com/sacredsaturn, and join his Telegram group as well, t.me/ Sacred Saturn.
Yeah.
Sacred Saturn. So awesome. So thank you everyone for being here. I'm going
Right,
to
thanks,
just
guys.
so goodbye. I'm gonna play a video.